Good morning and welcome to South Church. This is a space for all, for those present and those joining online, for first-timers and familiar faces. Your beliefs, background, identity, who you choose to love, and what brings you here today are all welcomed. You matter, and we are so happy to see you. My name is Veda Kiper Phelps, and I'm one of a team of worship associates who have the honor of serving South Church and working with our minister, Reverend Ellen Quadgrass. Today, I'm grateful to be joined by our Director of Children and Family Ministry, Gentle Deo-Barry, Music Director Johnny Pfeiffer, pianist Susan Adams, Congregational Administrator and amazing singer Jen Leyden, our AV technician Ben Abbott, along with Social Justice Associates Jackie Ellis and BJ Lates providing testimonials this morning. Thank you. Joining us in the pulpit today is the wonderful Laurie Bilby. Laurie is currently serving as the South Church Treasurer on the board. She has been a vital member of this community throughout the past 13 years, working on the Committee of Ministry, Worship Associates, and being the Covenant Group convener as well as a steering committee member. She has participated on multiple service learning trips, been a coming-of-age mentor, and the occasional coffee maker. She says it's a joy to return to the chancel, and I'm very grateful to be up here with her. For those in need of assistance, our ushers will be able to help you with personal listening devices and large print hymnals. We also invite you to join us downstairs after the service for coffee, tea, and conversation. It is important that we take the time to acknowledge the land in which this beloved space was built upon. This land is the territory of the Wabanaki and Pennacook people, and they did not give this home up. May we hold this truth in our hearts. May we feel connected to this earth. May we welcome all through these doors and utilize this generationally sacred space for action towards restorative justice. Thank you for your presence here this morning.
Good morning, everybody. A couple announcements this morning. First, today, after worship downstairs, Reverend Ellen and the Social Justice Associates will be in the Carson Parlor teaching people how to use the 5 Calls app, which is an app that you can use to call your representatives to voice your opinions about some issues, local issues, I believe also national issues. But they will be downstairs kind of helping you download, walk you through how to use that app. They'll also be doing that on the 23rd of March. So if you can't make it today, there'll be another opportunity in a few weeks. Also, on March 29th, we are hosting a coffee house. So if you are a poet, a juggler, a singer, a musician of any kind, or if you are just interested in checking it out, March 29th from 7 to 9 downstairs, we'll be having a coffee house. Mary Bannock's contact information is in your order of service. If you're interested in performing, you can reach out to her. And also this afternoon, there will be an email going out about this, but save the date for May 10th and 11th, the weekend of May 10th and 11th, will be a visioning weekend here at South Church. We have Rachel, what was her name? Rachel. There's a woman named Rachel that'll be coming to kind of do some visioning workshops with us, I believe Saturday afternoon and Sunday after worship. More information coming out about that today. And I think Johnny has a few announcements as well.
Good morning. One is a correction. You'll see in your order service an announcement about the new piano is here. And we're going to celebrate its arrival on March 23rd, not April 23rd, at 2 p.m. And we put out a call for any piano players who want to join us. We've got Sasha and Anna Howard, Tim Dule, Susan and myself playing solo and duets together. So that's 2 p.m. March 23rd. If you're a piano player, just reach out. And we wanted to make it a full congregation event, not just featuring Susan and I. Also, Music Sunday is coming up April 6th. My first Music Sunday since I've been here for a little over 3.5 years. So I'm very excited. And if you haven't participated in choir, we would love to have you. We were singing some great music this month. Some Leah Morris, David Byrne, Abby Lincoln, some other great stuff. So please join us. And I'm making some extra rehearsal options for you. If you can't make Tuesday nights, we have our regular Tuesday evening from 6:30 on to 6:30 to 8. This coming week, there's a rehearsal at Carnan House at 73 Court Street at 6:30 on Wednesday, this Wednesday evening. And then I'll have some others after that. So just reach out or just come Tuesday evening here or Wednesday down at Court Street. Thank you.
Good morning. 4 years ago, in the depths of the pandemic, I met Robin Schnell and Janet Pulaski at an outdoor, of course, event, and they were talking about the Social Justice Associates at South Church. I was casting about at that point for ideas of how I could be engaged here, and I impulsively said, "Oh, I'd like to be part of that." 4 years later, I don't regret 1 minute of my snap decision. We've educated ourselves on a variety of topics: affordable housing, voting, indigenous issues in New Hampshire and Maine, to name a few. Then after informing ourselves, we figure out how to share that knowledge with the congregation and the wider community with speakers or panel discussions or films. Some of you will remember the flurry of postcard writing we did last fall, sending postcards to North Carolina. Tess, Phelps, and BJ are currently heading up the Social Justice Associates, and we would welcome you to join us. BJ has a rundown of our current activities, which we hope will intrigue and even engage you. Thank you.
Good morning. A year ago, with support from Reverend Ellen, we began thinking about all the ways that our numerous social justice issues were entwined in our lives and within our congregation. Currently, we have many different issues facing us, and we wanted to find a way to provide support to all of you who want to work on any one of the social justice issues. We've learned to see our team as a wheel with many spokes. The spokes we have identified come from our shared plate recipients: mental health, immigration rights, racial justice, food insecurity, environment, gender equality, and health. Tess, our artist friend, has prepared a wonderful bulletin board of just this wheel and spokes downstairs. We hope you'll look at that today when you have your coffee downstairs. We see our activities as a community serving many different social justice activities. Take a look at it and see if one of those spokes tweaks your interest, or you may find you have a special interest that needs to be added to our wheel. Our thinking is that social justice associates can act as information gatherers and a support system to aid various groups in their development of activities and events that help all of us in this community. This past fall, we were able to support the South Church Immigration Support Fund Oversight Group in providing information on immigrants who are seeking asylum or citizenship here in this country. 3 discussion sessions provided information on current immigration concerns and how we might respond. We are currently sharing information about our rights and those of our immigrant friends through the use of red cards. Look for those downstairs on our table. In addition, there is a meeting today following our service, which you just heard about, where you can learn on an app called 5 Calls to reach very important lawmakers with your concerns. Bring your phones and join us after you enjoy a cup of coffee. I was new here 3 years ago, and I knew only a handful of people. Now I feel as though I'm a true member of the congregation, in large part because of the team of social justice associates who all help out when a need arises. There is nothing like working together to form meaningful relationships which grow stronger over time. For this I am grateful. Join us after the service. Thank you.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are free.
As we light our chalice this morning, we invite those joining online to light a candle or chalice of their own. We light this chalice today with the words of Ram Dass. The art of life is to stay wide open and be vulnerable, yet at the same time to sit with the mystery and the awe and with the unbearable pain, to just be with it all. Now please join me in body or spirit in reciting our mission statement printed in your order of service. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people and inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. I adore the game of soccer. For the past 12 years I have played, it has brought me so much joy. However, 2 summers ago, the high school version of this sport almost broke this passion for me. It was an August afternoon, and I was standing in a circle in the humid gym with my 20 teammates as my coach explained to us in a moderately sugar-coated description that as a team, we hated each other. We were instructed to mend this hatred by attempting to pass a hula hoop around the circle without letting go of each other's hands, as you do when you want to fix a tense situation. If we succeeded, our trust was healed. Standing there, I couldn't help but think, can't you see we just don't like each other? Our team showed up with fake smiles on our faces every day. We all knew some of us talked behind each other's backs. We all knew some of us ranted about each other at lunch tables. We all knew most of us didn't actually feel like smiling when we saw each other. For we had already drowned in the rumors and stories and whispers that make up superficial status and personality and being. Therefore, we didn't have the motivation to swim back to the top to understand the falsities and breathe in each other's realities. So I understood why my coach was throwing a hula hoop into the situation. It was as close as he could get to a life raft in the waves of our tension and currents of our exclusion. Soccer is a unique game in that your individual ability relies so heavily on that of other people's. It is rare that a player can dribble around every single person across the entire field to score a perfect goal. There is a reason for the 10 other teammates running alongside you. To be good at soccer, you can never look at your feet. If your gaze is down, you don't know where your teammates are. If your head is down, so are all possibilities of connection. To be good at soccer, you must have an understanding of your teammates' changing positioning on the field, of their sprints and stops and falls and tackles. You have to have confidence that they are working over the moon to support you and the rest, that you all together will be gasping for breath, all bruised and battered when the clock goes off. And my team that summer was not, and we were losing, lost in a fog of unfamiliarity and distrust. Not only were our passes not connecting, but nor were our thoughts, conversations, or even eyes. I wish I could say that after our hula hoop activity, we became a family, but we really didn't. Nonetheless, we adjusted. Fed up with superficiality, our practices became more centered around the game than each other. We began to see one another as players, and from that bloomed a sense of respect. I may not like you as a person, but when I pass to you, I trust that you're going to score. I may not forgive you for that thing you said, but I trust that you'll be open when I look up. We may be a dysfunctional group, but I trust that we will be hugging at the end of every game. Trust on the field, no matter what existed off of it. Now please join me in singing our opening hymn, number 126 in your gray hymnal, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
It's time for a story. So any kids and any adults, anybody who would like to hear a story a little closer, please come right up here. Mr. Fox loves stories and is very welcome to join us. So the story today is inspired by a wisdom tale that I don't know the origin of. So if anybody knows this wisdom tale and has the origin, please tell me after, because I couldn't find the origin. So the seed of this story is from a wisdom tale, and then I'm adding on some things. So once upon a time, there were two groups. There were the spirits of truth and the spirits of lies. And each of those groups wanted to build the most wonderful building to live in. And the way it worked is every time a human told a truth, a brick would form. And the spirits of truth would take the brick and add it to their building. And every time a human told a lie, the spirits of lies would take that brick that was formed and add it to their building. And it went on this way for a while, and they're building their buildings. And the spirits of lies realized if they convinced the humans that they could get everything they wanted by lies, then they could get them to tell more lies. And so that's what happened. The humans were like, oh, I can get whatever I want if I tell so many lies. So that's what they did, told lots of lies. And so the bricks for the spirits of lies accumulated really quickly, and that building was getting big, really, really big. And the spirits of truth, their building was moving along, still growing, but it was going slower. And at some point, the spirits of lies had this palace that was enormous. But it turned out one of the bricks was made of cardboard. And so once that building got really huge, that cardboard brick squished. And it turned out another brick was made out of sand. So that one too, when the building got big, collapsed. And one was made out of glass. And all these bricks in the palace of lies were not strong, and they started to crumble, and that whole palace came crumbling all the way down to the ground. But the spirits of truth, those bricks were granite. Strong, solid granite, just like the building that we're in. And that was strong. And it wasn't as big or flashy, but it was strong and wonderful. And so, because of this, the humans came to understand that you can't build anything on a foundation of lies, because eventually it will crumble. So that's our story, and now we can go downstairs.
During the month of March, our offering collection will be shared with Woman Aid of Greater Portsmouth. Founded in 2005, the mission of Woman Aid of Greater Portsmouth is to provide short-term financial assistance to our neighbors in need when they have nowhere else to turn. Donations may be made in person, online, by mailing a check to the 73 Court Street offices, or by using the Ventco app. Please give as you are able. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully received.
I invite us now into a time of prayer and meditation. Rest easy in this place, in this good place, and this good company. With these words, a prayer for peace by Reverend Margot, minister of the Tahoma Unitarian Universalist congregation out in Washington. Spirit of love and life, come and rest upon us, within us, for these few moments of calm. Quiet my striving and allow me a time for breath, for silence, a time to let go of all longings and desire. May I simply be here without worry or wish. In the quiet of our hearts, pour in peace, not only the absence of striving, not only the absence of conflict, but the fullness of peace that may be. Peace, embodied in how we treat each other, into the world in compassion and care, shown in the world by acts of justice and mercy. Peace, known by the safety of children and those who are vulnerable. Peace created by each of the earth's children within and beyond, building a web that links each to all to the boundaries of all that is. Into our hearts pour this presence of peace, we pray. Spirit of love and life, thou who animates our lives, the world in its trouble and chaos cries out for the blessing of peace. May we be those who draw together the threads of peace found in the beauty of the earth that surrounds us, found in common and simple acts of kindness and compassion that fill the world. May we draw together the threads of peace and weave them, weave peace for our weary, beloved world. In the quiet of these moments, may we open our hearts to the presence of peace. So may it be, world without end. Amen. Susan's now going to play for us while we continue in a spirit of meditation and or prayer, these precious, precious moments of quietude. You're welcome to simply sit, relax, enjoy. And if your heart would find greater peace this morning by coming forward to ignite a flame, if there is that which needs to be illuminated or that which needs to be burned away, then I invite you to come up by the side aisles as Susan plays to light a candle. See how the light of our individual candles is multiplied by our coming together. In our joys, in our concerns, in our work for a better future, may it ever be so. Amen. It feels to me in our lives that we hear a lot about trust, and not only because it's this month's worship theme. We are constantly being asked or told to trust people. Our parents, our teachers, our politicians, anybody who's ever wanted to sell us anything. And we do, though. We trust a lot. We trust people to pay attention at four-way stops. We trust canneries to make sure we're not going to get botulism. We trust a whole system from employer to payroll company to banking networks in the service of getting our paychecks to hit our accounts on time and in full. I would say we trust other people more times a day than we can even count. And yet, we all know people who feel badly about their trust issues arising from past betrayals in families, in relationships, within institutions. We might even have our own trust issues, that deep fear of being hurt again, hurt anew, that keeps us from opening, from being vulnerable, from living as fully as we crave, from having those deep connections that our hearts both desire and fear. And that is a perfectly normal response. Because how do we know who's going to hold our hearts, our minds, our bodies with respect and compassion and a steady, reliable love? So what I'd like to explore with you for a few minutes this morning is this. Why should you trust me? Why should I trust you? What makes us worthy of the precious gift of one another's trust? Why on earth would Charlie Brown continue to think that Lucy Van Pelt is going to hold that football in place for him next time? Who do you trust? Anybody come to mind? And why is that the case? What are the attributes of that person, of that organization? And who do you not trust? And why? I'm going to go out on a limb, a short one, and say that the people in the institutions you trust are the ones that have integrity. They keep confidences, they are honest, they articulate and embody their values. They are the ones who follow up and do what they say they are going to do, over and over again. They are consistent, not the foolish consistency that is the hobgoblin of little minds, thank you, Mr. Emerson, but the thoughtful attention to one's commitments that keeps people coming back for more. Being trustworthy is a gift we can give one another and ourselves. Trust needs to happen for our lives to function well. Faith in ourselves, in our everyday lives, our families, our communities, our nation, and our world. And like so many other of the good character qualities, it can be a bit of a drag as well. As many of you know, I contract part-time for, and for nearly 30 years was a full-time employee of a small law firm in Boston that specializes in tax and estate planning. This is one of those jobs that, like doctors and clergy and therapists, you do not talk about your clients and their issues. It was actually kind of amusing the years when I was married and my wife Fen and I would drive to Boston together every day. She was a contracts manager for a mutual fund company in Boston, so was under some constraints of confidentiality in her job as well. So it's entirely possible that on any given day, I was busy valuing assets or drafting estate tax returns or helping explain probate procedures for some fairly wealthy family whose name in business would be known to most of us and would be super fun to gossip about. And it's entirely possible that Fenn might have been negotiating $1 million contract for the purchase of a new trading software platform with some incredible jerk from a company whose name we would all know, and we might decide to boycott if all their people were going to be that nasty. So we'd get in the car at the end of the day and say, "How was your day, dear?" And the answer would be, "Good," or "interesting," or "crappy." And that was pretty much the end of the work conversation. Now, obviously, we could have explained to each other what we were actually doing, like the intricacies of how you prorate the prior tax paid credit on IRS Form 706 Schedule Q, or what the nuances are in the legal standards of a contract between the phrases reasonable efforts and best efforts. But if we started to do that, neither of us could see how the other, a lovely, articulate, interesting, funny, and loving woman, could possibly spend her days doing what she did. So the listeners' eyes would just glaze over. So mostly we just chatted about our colleagues and then moved on to the, "So, what's for supper?" Confidentiality can be a burden. It's not easy to be a closed container, the vault for other people's secrets, their confidences. And yet when we have that capacity, it's such a gift to give. The ability for another human being to release the stress, the shame, the confusion, the secret joys, the press of whatever big feelings we're carrying. I mean, aren't you so grateful for your own go-to people? So it seems like being able to keep our mouths shut is part of being trustworthy and worth doing even when we're dying to dish the dirt. It's also one of the important reasons in my experience that covenant groups work so well here at South Church. And of course, confidentiality is foundational for good 12-step meetings and successful professional therapeutic relationships. So at the same time as we're respecting the confidences with which we're entrusted, trustworthy people are also juggling transparency and boundaries. Trustworthy people are honest. It's one reason we trust them. How do we know they're honest? Because we can see what they're up to. That's transparency. We certainly can quickly name areas in our world where this is not happening. But then I think about different examples, close to home, like how the Board of Trustees at South Church operates. Our meetings are open. You're all welcome, to sit in on the work every third Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. and watch and listen to our agenda, our reports, our discussions, and our votes. We don't hide behind closed doors making shady deals. We do, however, occasionally go into executive session to discuss matters requiring confidentiality, like personnel issues. And sometimes we don't release the results of our deliberations until we've reached consensus. Those are boundaries that promote trust. In a 2021 article for the Harvard Business Review, author and business researcher Ron Carucci shared the results of a 15-year longitudinal study of 3,200 business leaders around the topic of organizational honesty. He advises the following for those looking to increase their trustworthiness among the people with whom they interact. Be who you say you are. Consciously or not, we all navigate the world guided by a set of values that are revealed by our actions. We may say we value compassion, for example, but if the first question we ask upon hearing somebody plowed into our new car in the parking lot is, "How bad is the damage?" instead of, "Was anyone hurt?" our commitment to compassion appears pretty thin. Others judge our trustworthiness by the extent to which our actions and words match. Here's how to make sure they do, he goes on. Embody your stated values. The first thing you must do is articulate your values so others know what to expect. Importantly, though, good intentions don't count. One of the issues in a particular manager's feedback was that he routinely extolled the importance of teamwork and being an all-for-one team. But during meetings, he became impatient with others' updates and was sarcastic with his feedback. So although he didn't intend it, his actions intimidated others and prevented them from participating, so he lost their trust. Your values serve as a yardstick that others use to gauge their experience of you. If you haven't articulated them, people are left to make assumptions that might not align with what you believe. And if you have articulated them, be especially vigilant about embodying them. The good news for us as Unitarian Universalists is that we are already committed to a set of values, which, thanks to Jet Pig, are reasonably easy to call to mind: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, generosity. I kind of wish trustworthiness were one of them, but maybe it is. Buddhist meditation teacher Tara Brach writes that we can see in our own lives and in the larger society how dishonesty poisons our world with cynicism and mistrust. One understanding that seems clear is that our future is threatened by these toxins: greed and aggression that proliferate when we are not facing and speaking truth. This suffering is calling for us to deepen our commitment to truth-telling and being real with ourselves and each other. Tara Brach goes on to share poet Adrienne Rich's words that an honorable human relationship, that is, one in which two people have the right to use the word love, is a process of refining the truths that they can tell each other. It is important to do this because it breaks down human delusion and isolation. So, trustworthiness means keeping confidences, being honest, being authentic, and then also being consistent with our honest, transparent, authentic confidentiality. Sounds like kind of a lot of work. And maybe that starts making it a little bit clearer why there are people and institutions out there in which we are better off not trusting. Now, I know that probably more than a few of you back in the day were part of Scouting America, maybe back when it was called the Boy Scouts. You don't have to raise your hands. You can just smile and nod. But when you were in the Boy Scouts, did you not have to raise your hands every week and repeat the Scout's oath? And was part of the Scout's oath not part of agreeing to obey the Scouts' laws? I looked this up. There were 12 Scouts' laws. The very first one out of 12, a Scout is trustworthy. Tell the truth and keep promises. People can depend on you. From the mainstream Protestant churches of my earlier years, the words of this hymn by H.A. Ward have just stayed with me. I would be true, for there are those who trust me. I would be pure, for there are those who care. I would be strong, for there is much to suffer. I would be brave, for there is much to dare. I'll give you the second verse too, because I just like this. I would be friend of all, the foe, the friendless. I would be giving and forget the gift. I would be humble, for I know my weakness. I would look up and laugh and love and lift. Actually, this wouldn't be a bad hymn for us, would it? So really, and the point is that everybody knows that trustworthiness is an important character trait. But I still feel like so much of the time we're asked to, expected to be open and vulnerable and reliant on people just because they ask us to. Like they have some sort of inherent right to our trust. And maybe it's not so important that I tell you to trust me, is that I do the work to show you that I am trustworthy, that I earn your trust. And maybe then you'll start with the little things and see if I'm honest and reliable. Maybe I owe you that. Maybe you deserve it. You do deserve it. It's been about a year now that I've been serving on your board of trustees as the treasurer. Sometimes it's pretty challenging. Other times it's downright hard. And I love it. And this is why. I said this recently at a board meeting. I love that you have all placed your trust in me to be part of the governing body of this church, to represent your interests, and to help fulfill and further our mission, and to get the bills paid as much as possible. I love that you have chosen me. I love my board comrades and what each brings to the table. figuratively and literally. We just had our annual board retreat Friday night and yesterday. And among the physical objects produced on Friday evening to represent the attributes that we all bring, each bring, these things included a tape measure from Tiffany's, a bottle of Advil, and a little three-legged llama that stood up better with just a little help. We laughed a lot and cried a little and thought of you all often. We shared some hopes and some fears and some ideas, and we know each other a little better now. And I'm inspired to make sure I'm worthy of their trust and yours. And I need to mention, mostly to remind myself, that building trustworthiness also means that some of us need to pay attention to the volume of time and attention our commitments require, to try to be sure we really can do what we say we will do. Because I know that when I don't bridge the gap between my intentions and my execution, I'm letting you down. Breach of trust, I think, is probably a sin, by my definition, which is that sinning is being out of right relationship by our own action or inaction. But I also know, as sure as the sun rises in the east, that I will screw up. We will disappoint and betray one another. As St. Paul put it, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. It's part of our practice of honesty, of transparency, of accumulating trustworthiness to honestly acknowledge when we miss the mark. So the more I think about this, the more certain I'm becoming that the practice of building our personal trustworthiness is really all about strengthening the ways in which we embody love, taking care to be in right relation. When we are teaching and training and practicing being loyal, faithful, honest, consistent, reliable, being trustworthy so that others are safe to be vulnerable with us, that's compassion. That's allowing for real connection. That's love. Trust me. Our closing hymn is number 131.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Let's stand for the benediction. Feel free to touch somebody's shoulder or take their hand, being mindful that we're still in flu season, but connect if you feel like connecting. These are the words of John O'Donohue, Benacht. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to waken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays and the curragh of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. Go in peace to love and serve. Amen.